Once upon a time, in a far, far off land, there was a space heater. It was a dark and stormy night. Ah,
Well, I've been sitting here since winter. I'm stuck, completely stuck. Maybe if you could leave comments and tell me how to fix this video. It's a video about a space heater, the amps it draws, and the temperatures it gives off. But I've gone on so many tangents, none of this makes sense anymore. So if you could take some of your valuable time, have a look, leave me some suggestions. I'll try to redo the video with your suggestions in mind, and maybe we can save this somehow. Let's let this play a little bit. Bring your pillow. It's pretty boring, more than usual. And then I'll jump back in a little bit.
welcome to the inside of our heater. So this here is the first thing we have to contend with. It's a switch, so if the heater falls over, it opens and causes these two not to be connected. So we are going to bypass this first thing. Like that. And like this. We have no power in our heater because you saw earlier we cut the cord. Now, our power comes in here, our heating element there, And what concerns us today is this switch, which will tell us the settings. We have 0, we have 1, we have position 2, and the third switch. I'm supposed to be telling a story through the edit. I'm watching and I don't even know what's going on. Alright, I'm gonna let it play a little bit and then I'll jump back in. Let's just leave that on full. This is America. Okay, now over here is our actual heating element. Now I took these off earlier so that they'd come off quickly for the camera. I don't need to take the third one off. Okay, let's stand the camera up so I can use both hands and show you the continuity. This is the tool that we're going to use to test continuity. I love this tool. I go everywhere with it. It's one of the very few tools that I allow to ride inside the cab. I go everywhere with this. I go to church, I go to weddings, anywhere. I have this with me. So over here, this blue wire simply goes here. It's not doing anything for us today. And with our meter set on continuity, I'm hoping you can hear it. I'm touching, I'm going to raise this up so you can see it. That and that. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to grab hold of the black wire and the red. Now we're in the off position, so we're not going to hear any sound. I'm going to reach over and go to position 1. Nothing. Position 2. Yes. Now position 3. Yes. 2. Yes. 1. Nothing. Off. Nothing. So black. Come over here. Black. And our other wire today is going to be white. First switch, second switch, third switch. So black was no on number 1. It was yes on 2 and yes on 3. Let's try white now. Okay, I've got the white on one lead and I've got our red power on the other. I'll tilt this up and I'm going to go to we're in the off position on the switch. That's number 1, yes. Number 2, no. And number 3, yes. So on number 1 white, it was a yes. On number 2 switch, no. And number 3, yes. Perfect. We have our chart now. So on switch number 1, our power is going only to the white, and that's the lowest setting. So that white wire is going to be touching our lower powered element. The black wire is our higher powered element, which makes sense because when we go up to 2, we have power just going to the second element, and on switch 3 we have power to both elements. Why am I telling you this? Let me show you what I have in mind next. All right, so I've marked this one. We'll put a little magic marker on there. That's going to be our positive, and that's our neutral. So why don't we strip this off real quick. So now we're going to go long to short, and then short to long. Wonder what this green thing does. Anyway, this is temporary. And what this is going to allow us to do is to come in here with an amp meter and see how much current is being called for by the heater. Okay, so we're plugged in. We have 120 volts coming from the wall. I take this to switch 1 and you can see the indicator light has come on. So let's go back to off for now. Come down here with our amp gauge. And you can see we're drawing no amps. We'll go switch on 1, indicator lights on, and we are drawing 5 amps. Switch on 2. We are now drawing 7.4 amps. Now the third switch. No, master, not the third switch. And we're drawing 12 amps. What was the point of the video? Well, this space heater came from the trash. And I wanted to know, can I use it again? Can I not use it again? I plugged it in and it worked. But before you go giving this to a tenant or using it in your own house, you want to make sure that it's safe. Well, as it turns out, this one started blowing fuses. So is it a problem with the heater or the house? And in this case, it turned out that we measured the heater to see how many amps it would draw, and it was 5 on the first setting, 7 and what was it, 7.4 on the second, and on the third it was pulling 12 amps. Well, these heaters, they draw 12 amps. They will actually overheat and shut themselves off. And when you're using a heater on the third setting, you're going to see and hear like it clicking off and on, off and on. In essence, you don't want to use it on the third setting, you want to use it on the second. On the second, it would stay on. It'll also overheat on 2, but generally speaking, it'll go up to a high temperature and stay there, and you don't need to use the third one. And this is what happened in this case. Now, this one is receptacle is brand new, but in many houses, they're a little older and they're worn out inside. So when you put the plug-in is loose. Well, what happened in our case was the house receptacle was old, not like this one here. And inside, the tabs that hold your end, they weren't making a good contact. And when there's not a good contact and you're drawing 12 amps like we were, there's a chance for a spark. And when the sparks happen, there's heat. And when heat happens, it begins to burn. And that's just what happened here. And you can see that this started to melt and deform. That's pretty much where some fires come from. It's not necessarily the heater itself. It could be the connection to the wall. So now this heater has been tested and it's been used all winter, and it's been used non-stop all winter, 24 hours a day, but it was only being used on this number 2 setting, so it was never drawing more than that 7.4 amps. If you were to use one of these heaters and you kept it on number 3, it would just be cycling on and off, on and off, on and off, and you would risk something like this happening. So it is safe to use this heater that was found in the trash only because we've tested it. This video was supposed to have told us how to test it, but this video was so convoluted and boring that did not accomplish that goal. Is it possible to redo this video? To correct the edit? Maybe cut out most of it? Maybe add something else? I don't know. But it's time to carry on. Today is Easter. I've been working on this video all of Lent. Over a month. The wind is howling again, but that's fitting. I speak for a lot of people when I say we're still thinking about Stephen Doolittle. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the people of Ukraine. It's Easter Sunday, and we don't want to take anything for granted.